MRW, up or
Do you
down,
wanna
balls
serve or
up,
do you wanna
balls down,
return?
POD.
Which side is the sun, man? Are we serving?
Wait, which way is up?
Spin the racket.
Welcome back to Spin the Racket, Atlanta's recreational tennis pod, covering everything from the Pro Tour to the everyday league player. I'm your boy G.
And I'm Lou.
Today, we have a special guest joining us on the pod, Kevin Perkins, founder of DÜS. He's a great tennis player in his own right. We'll get into his story, his background, and what he's up to in the community. Kev, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, no, it's going to be fun. Do you go by, is it just Kevin? You like Kev, KP, Killer Kev?
Honestly, it's a little bit of all of those. It just depends on who you are and whatever you feel comfortable calling me. So any of those works, honestly. But I think I get Kev a lot, probably the most.
Yeah, I feel like it rolls off the tongue pretty easy. Well, we always have our first question that we start off with, always the toughest question. Would you rather have no serve or no forehand?
Man, I'd rather have no forehand.
Okay.
I got to get the point started. And I can backhand chip all day. So, so no forehand for sure.
I love that. That's what I picked, right, Lou? Or did you pick that one?
Nah, yeah, you're on G's team right now. I think the split, at some point we were probably 50-50, but we definitely over the past couple of episodes we've gotten at least. I think it's leaning heavily now towards the no forehand crew. But I mean, each side makes a good point, right? You said it yourself. I want to get the point started. For me, it's like my argument for having a forehand is I want to get the point finished. So,
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know we had Marcus on the pod. Just for our listeners, that's how we met. Kevin, it was through Marcus, Gilliam, and NetGains Tennis. They had this awesome event, kickoff ATL rally back in December, or ATL kickoff rally rather. And we asked Marcus the same question. I think he went back and forth 3 different times. He was trying to psych himself out. He's like, yeah, no forehand, but actually probably no serve. It was just he never really answered it. But yeah, we're happy to have you on the pod here. So obviously, want to get to know you a bit, share some with our listeners a little bit about your story. So take us back to the beginning. How did you first get into tennis?
Honestly, my dad, I think I started playing around 8 or 9. When I was born in the Philippines and then moved to the States, to Athens, where my dad is from. And then he kind of put the racket in my hand. I remember kind of going over to the university courts, and he took me to the wall and kind of just fell in love with, I guess, just the ball always coming back. The wall, I don't care who you are, the wall is forever undefeated.
Yep.
It doesn't matter if you're Roger, Novak, Rafa, the wall will always be undefeated. So, and then I grew up playing a lot of team sports too, all throughout childhood and high school even. But tennis, I think the thing I always loved about it was just, that if you had a good day, it's on you. And if you had a bad day, it's also on you, right? Whereas team sports, you could have a crazy good performance and your team still lose, So I kind of liked the responsibility that came with that with tennis. So that's why I ended up kind of leaning more towards that.
Mm-hmm. What age was that where you kind of just fully locked in on tennis?
I would say probably my freshman year of high school. But I played basketball all throughout.
Oh, cool.
I played basketball throughout. And like I said, I played all the sports too. Played baseball too. But tennis, I kind of was like, okay, not trying to really get hit like that in football. So anymore, protect myself a little bit. So I was like, okay, let's go, more the safer route, I guess, if you will. And then kind of locked in on tennis.
That's cool. Yeah, Lou and I were talking about that yesterday. He played basketball a little bit. He was telling me because he has the height,
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, you want to unwrap that again. A lot of people look at me and they're like, you must be good at basketball or whatever. I got it
must be.
I grew a foot in middle school, and then all of a sudden I went from being average height to being the tall guy in the group or whatever. Everyone, I mean, it's back home it's like that. Everyone looks at you and you're here in the States, I'm a little bit above average, I'm 6'3", but back home in Venezuela, it's like you're tall. You're significantly taller than everyone. And so everyone's like, oh, you must be good at basketball. And it's like, dude, that's not the only sport that tall people play. Like, look at the average like height for like swimmers or goalkeepers or tennis players or volleyball players. It's like the average is pretty high. So anyways, going back into you playing competitively, because I'm curious about that. Like what age did you start like locking in playing competitively, and what did that look like? What did you play in college? I think when we met, you mentioned something about playing professionally. So walk us through that a little bit.
Yeah, so like I said, played all throughout high school, and then played in college. I was able to get a scholarship. My freshman year, I played at Alabama State. I was able to play with my best friend there, who was a year older than me. And we did really well. Like freshman season, got conference freshman of the year. And then, yeah, just, had a good time. That was my best friend. Like, we played juniors together and stuff like that. So we
That's
grew up
cool.
playing, all the big tournaments in the state as well as Southerns and stuff like that. But then to officially be teammates, in college was kind of like was a goal because he
Yeah.
said he was a year older than me. So I always had to play up a little bit. Shout out to my boy Josh, by the way, because I know he's probably gonna listen to this later.
That's awesome. What was Alabama State like? Like I haven't come across many people from there.
Yeah, it was cool for me. It was like my first experience, being HBCU.
Hmm.
So my, little background, like my mom is she's Filipino and my dad is black. So but for high school I went to, predominantly, white school.
Hmm.
Not a whole lot of, ethnicities and stuff where I grew
Hmm.
up. So going there in a sense at first was a little bit of a culture shock for me.
Right.
Obviously, like, other than being around my dad's, side of the family and everything. But it was a dope experience, so I'm not gonna lie. Like, and,
Hmm.
having Josh there definitely helped me to kind of just show me the ropes, and I had good teammates as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, we had a good time, man. Honestly, like being able to travel, playing other schools like in the SWAC,
Hmm.
was really dope. Yeah, and honestly, yeah, it was just a good experience.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I always like every time I watch college tennis, I'm like, man, I wish I could have played in college. That's that's like a really cool experience. I did club, but wasn't like, varsity level. But it seemed just like a great time to, kind of build up that competition, get some camaraderie, like really get to know good friends and good teammates. So yeah, I feel like that's a valuable experience.
Yeah, yeah. And then I know you had mentioned, kind of playing at the next level after college and, was playing some, tournaments and stuff afterwards, try to get in some ITFs. But, as you guys know, like, just because you're playing all those, it's not always glamorous, right? And like
Mm,
not everyone is in that, top 100. And, there's definitely tiers and levels to, playing professional tennis. And, you kind of quickly realize like, hey, this is probably not going to be really feasible, for a career if we're not, getting, wild card entries or, really breaking through.
yeah.
So, kind of went more the coaching route afterwards. And then kind of found my footing in there, coaching juniors and stuff, and then got into college coaching for a few years.
Hmm.
Was able to kind of go on staff at North Georgia at first. Learned a lot there from Coach Kent, and then from there was able to be a grad assistant in Texas, and then ended up being a head coach at a D2 in San Francisco.
Interesting.
That's cool, dude.
Yeah. What was kind of like the, I guess, toughest challenge or trying to like play on the tour? Like what did you kind of think about as you were trying to enter that next stage?
Yeah, I think honestly just, you're seeing the same people, every weekend, every other weekend, but just the expenses, they add up quick.
Yeah.
And like I said, if you're not able to even get in a tournament, you could be an on-site alternate, or whatever, but it's like, do you take the risk of going on site
Hmm.
and hoping that someone, like withdraws and then you're able to get into the tournament? Or, do you miss that opportunity altogether, but then you could still end up going and then you not get in at all.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's
Yeah.
like I said, at that stage when you're not making, that type of money, it's not like you have, a plethora of endorsements coming in. You're just lucky if someone's like, hey, here's a free string of, like a free reel of string.
Right.
You're
Yeah.
like, oh man, all right, anything to cut the expenses down, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of quickly realize, okay, if I can't, crack it here or whatever, then, you know, how can I still be around the game? And then I think that's kind of what led me to going down the coaching route.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can
Any
imagine.
any memorable matches or tournaments that like you can, pull back from memory lane?
Um, yeah, honestly, there was can't exactly remember where, but it was on clay. And it's funny that when you asked the first question, like, would you rather have no forehand or no backhand? And because it happened, I literally had no forehand at the time. Like I was running
Really?
around my I was yes, I was running around my forehand to hit a backhand, which is absolutely insane. Like if you've played tennis, like, you know, that is an insane thing to do. But
Yeah.
I don't know what was happening at the time, but my forehand was either going straight to the bottom of the net or it was sailing straight to the fence. No in between.
Oh,
Mhm.
brother. I
No
know
in
I know
between.
that feeling all too well.
And I like, man, and I remember like just having like my friends try to help me, like just hand feed,
Nah,
whatever.
nah.
And it just was like, and I would slow up my swing, nothing would happen. So
Jeez.
I remember literally running around forehands. You know, normally you hit inside out forehands, right? Inside out, you know, backhand, whatever.
Right.
But it was all backhands, you know, so a backhand chip or getting around to, you know, to crank a backhand on the do side is
Yeah.
absolutely crazy thing to see. But I was able to pull out the match because it
Yeah.
was all just chip, and I try to work my way to the net. So I know my opponent was probably super pissed that happened, but you know, that lasted maybe for like I don't know, man, like 2 weeks. But obviously, when you're playing in match mode, you know, you gotta like, all right, well, this is all I have with me, you know,
Yeah.
today to battle, so we're gonna have to make it work. So
Yeah, I can
That's
relate with that
crazy.
so much. Just like as like a rec player, like obviously, like you go out, you feel good, you feel like you have the shots, but some days like your first service is not there, or like some days you can't hit your backhand, whatever it is. You're like, well, we'll make it work with what we got.
yeah, it was weird. It was literally like I don't know if you guys have seen Space Jam, but it was literally like a Space Jam
Yes.
moment. I'm like, yo, who took my forehand? Like it is literally not there. It's to the fence or to the bottom of the net. It's
Yeah.
crazy, man. Like, like I don't even know how to explain it. It was wild.
Yeah, that's insane.
I
Yeah.
have a pretty memorable match just like that, dude, where like I could not return anything on the forehand side. It didn't matter what I tried to do. I tried to slice, chip, drive, nothing happened. And it's a pretty memorable moment because this was playing double A Alta here in Atlanta. And I played with our line one guy. And it was just so bad altogether. Like it was a very frustrating 3 hour summer. It was summer or fall. It was pretty hot, but I can
Jeez.
understand that. I think most players listening right now could probably, relate in some shape or form how it's crazy how tennis is not like you cannot expect. And I think a lot of people think that you can like work whatever you played with yesterday cannot. It won't. There's no guarantee that you're gonna come back today and play with the same shots, right? Like it
Mhm.
might be a whole different bag of shots, and you're gonna have to manage that. Um, I was just watching a match with I don't know if you know Carousel,
Oh yeah, yeah.
HQ, whatever, and he's playing number 224 in the world. Currently trying to make it to the top 100, which is apparently like the biggest cliff you can climb, right? In tennis. And the guy goes, yeah, one of the things that a lot of people do in tennis is like they played really well the first like couple of games or whatever, and then they think they need to keep climbing and it just kind of flops,
It
right?
fall.
Because like
Yeah.
yeah, because your shots may not be there. You're not going to be able to play better than what you played at the beginning. So very relatable, very relatable. Um, crazy stuff, man.
Yeah. And
So
like, what's your playing style? Remind me, because I feel like you have like a one hander too, right?
yeah,
A one hand backhand.
Yeah, I have a one hander. I'd like to say it's more of like an all court. Like I'm not super aggressive necessarily. I mean,
Mhm.
obviously, if it's there, I'll go for it. But I feel like more just all court, being able to, you know, stay out there, grind out a lot of points. But I do like to come to the net a lot too.
Mhm.
You know, which I feel like in today's game, that's not really,
Yeah.
mm,
you know, just bang from
Sure.
the baseline.
Yeah.
Um, but I've always kind of relied on even like when I serve, I typically serve in volley,
Mhm.
just like to be able to get up to the. I feel comfortable up there. I feel like I was always pretty good in doubles too. So I think in my
Mhm.
singles game, that's always kind of helped me. Just being able to kind of getting towards the net.
Yeah. Yeah. did you model your game off of like a certain pro or like anybody like that?
A little bit of everyone. I mean, obviously, I'd like to think it would be like Federer, right? But that's,
Yeah.
I think we all do aesthetically, right?
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
But I think I mean, obviously, like, who doesn't like how Roger's game looks?
Right.
You know what I mean? I would say, honestly, I think that's why I switched to the one-hander as a freshman in high school.
Mhm.
Which at the time, man, that absolutely sucked. Like, I had a two-hander my whole life, and it was
Yeah.
a solid
That's
two-hander.
crazy.
And just watching it, I'm like, damn, like, that looks so smooth. Let me just try it. And then spent all summer doing it. Obviously, you have the nerves when you can do it in practice, but then when you play your first tournament, you're like, man, my parents paid money for this. And like, I'm shanking balls out here. Like, I'm scared to hit the one-hander,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think I would say him. And then obviously I always loved the intensity, of Rafa. And, even like before that, like watching like Pat Rafter, so for the volleys,
Yep.
but then also like, Agassi and Sampras in that era too.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense.
That's a ballsy move, dude. A lot of courage there. 'Cause yeah, like that late in your, let's say, tennis development, right? Like, I did the opposite. I started with a one-hander because I thought Roger was goated, and then at some point I was like, my coach was like, "Do you want to win matches or do you want to try to look good?" And it's like, so I had to do the opposite. I had to develop a two-hander. Um, Kind of around the same age. I think I was like 13 or so, but it's tough, right? Everyone wants to have that one-hander, but then you start looking at the numbers. It's like, dang, dude. I wanted it. I had a kind of along the same line of what you asked, G. Like, if you had to pick a top player in 2026, who would have the closest like game style to your game style? Oh man, I hit it. Okay, cool. I was thinking Mazzetti too.
Probably Musetti, just because, I mean, not only just because of the one-hander, but his playing style as well. Like, I wouldn't say he's like really gonna blow you away from the baseline, but
Mhm.
he gets pretty much all shots, and that was something for me. I covered the court really well. Like, not a whole lot really got past me. Um, so kind of more that type of player, but not straight like defensive either.
Mhm.
So that's probably, I would say, the closest comp.
Yeah, it seems like the one-hander is starting to disappear a little bit though. Like,
It is, man. It's good to see him have it and being top 5 right now, though.
yeah.
But yeah, it definitely is not as many in the game for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. How much
Yeah.
tennis are you playing these days? Like, what's that like for you?
Um, Maybe like 2, 3 times a week, so I'll coach a couple days throughout the week, and thankfully, like, most of my lessons, they're all able to hit. I have a lot of kids that are in high school too, they're trying to make the high school team or trying to play college, so I feel like for me, those are always just, like, easy, like, sparring sessions as well for me, it's like they
Yeah.
get to help them grow and work on their game, but also for me, keeps me kind of, like, sharp, being able to hit balls back too.
Yeah. Everyone wants to beat the coach, so it's like you got to be on your toes. Like,
For sure.
that's pretty awesome. And like, do you travel to like matches? That they have competitions, things like that.
I used to, not as much anymore, these days. So everything's kind of more just on the local side of things.
Mhm.
As far as like, the players that I coach. But yeah.
Now, shifting a little bit, do you still get the competitive itch now, every once in a while, or is it just kind of just coaching and maybe just enjoying and staying fit now?
I definitely enjoy coaching for sure. Like, I feel like I learned a lot when I, was coaching in college, but then also, you know, uh, once you're, a player, you're always a player too, right? So like, being able to compete when I can is always fun. Like I did play Alta last season. I think we were a double A team. Well, we won a city championship, which was
Oh,
great.
nice.
So that was nice to be able to kind of feel that, competitive edge.
Yeah. There you go.
And you guys know how it is. Like Alta, no matter what the level is, everyone's going to be competitive.
Yeah.
It's a big deal, in Atlanta. So it's nice that we have that around here.
Yeah. I think I see that dinner plate up there behind you in the screen.
Yeah, we got one up there, and then we got another one right here somewhere.
Okay. Oh,
So,
you're stacked. Yeah. You got a full set. I know I got like some dinner plates. And I got the little salad plates. I'm like, we'll hide those away somewhere. I don't need those.
Man.
All right, so shifting gears, let's get really to the meat and potatoes of this episode. Let's talk about the birth of DÜS Tennis. What inspired you to start a tennis clothing brand?
Oh, yeah, man. For me, honestly, I think just, obviously the sport being so ingrained in my life, but then also just seeing, you know, where, like, I guess my closet, right? Like, I'm big into streetwear as well. I'm a bit of a sneakerhead too. And, I've seen the collabs, obviously, with like Kith and with Wilson and the capsules that they have. And I think they've released like two or three. But I'm like, I look in my closet and I'm like, man, like have streetwear stuff, but like it'd be nice to be able to have like some tennis streetwear stuff. And I remember going to US Open couple of years ago uh with my now wife, and I was like, man, okay, like, obviously the grounds are packed and everything like that,
Mm-hmm.
and they sell, the cool merch and stuff there, but I was like, man, this is not really like streetwear type stuff, and it's like, it's cool, but like, there's not that, type
It's
of
not hype.
yeah, it's not hype. Not that I'm like a crazy hype beast or anything, but I'm just like, I want more of maybe like a looser tee, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
right,
Rather than
right.
wearing like a medium,
Yeah.
So, like,
The
and I'm
fit
like,
was,
okay.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Something that kind of hangs off the shoulders a little bit nicer, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just kind of playing around with like, okay. I don't think there is like a legit like tennis streetwear brand, not to my knowledge, when I was doing research and stuff. And obviously like there's plenty of other tennis apparel brands, for on court. But I really wanted to kind of tap in and focus a little bit more just like off court lifestyle. Essentially, like if you wear it on court, like it's totally fine, obviously, but you could also wear it like in the streets and it'd be totally okay too. And was also kind of just thinking about names, I was like, man, like, what is a name I can even, go
Mm-hmm.
off of or whatever. And I just, kept brainstorming, had different, things in the bucket. And I'm like, nah, that's not really going to stick. Okay, because I wanted something just like, just a one liner, right?
Yeah.
Something
Yep.
where it's like, I don't need a whole mouthful to
Mm-hmm.
describe what the brand is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then I kinda settled on Deuce just because, I was like, "Okay, we can change up the spelling and have a
Mm-hmm.
play on the word."
Yeah.
And then kinda just visualizing it too, I'm like, "Okay, it's just, going DUS with the, the oublons over the U." I was like, "That's perfect." Like, it looks good.
Magical.
I can put the tennis ball as the oublons over the
Yeah.
U,
Mm.
so that plays well. And then ultimately too, just Deuce, right? The way I viewed it, so kind of, going in depth on the name, Deuce obviously is, it's even, right? It's 40-40.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, the way I kind of viewed it is like in life, we're always trying to, get to a platform where we can either go up
Mm-hmm.
and, we can gain the advantage, right? So that's kind of why I wanted to do with Deuce, but also like if it doesn't, happen and we are at advantage, if we can go back to Deuce, that's life, right? It's ups and downs, but we're always trying to gain the advantage if we can. But if we can't, it's okay. It's not the end of the world. There's always a chance to reset and get it back.
Mm-hmm. That's really cool. Yeah, I mean,
Preach.
I love the name. It like the spelling, like you said, like the branding of it. I think it's all brilliant. And I have a hat. I know Lou has a shirt. Like it's good material.
I'm
I
wearing the
love this
shirt
stuff.
right now.
Oh, let's go.
I got the shirt right now, dude. I made a whole video about this. Like, of course I like the brand.
I appreciate that video, man. I
Yeah,
liked
what do you think? What do you think of that video? That
it.
thing was a trip to film.
No, man. When I seen the tag, the notification on IG, I was like, man, what is this? And I clicked. I said, yo, this is this is dope, man. This is crazy.
This is what happens when I have an idea and a little bit of time. Like, I just see it through,
Oh
So,
man.
yeah, I just I need more time for these ideas to realize these ideas.
Yeah,
But
Oh.
bake them in a bit. But yeah, I mean, so with the brand, where do you see it going? Is it something that you've kind of started locally? Like, have you kind of expanded more the U.S.? Like, what's happening with it?
Yeah, it's definitely more on the local side, but I mean, obviously, I have a lot of support from people just within the tennis community that don't live in Georgia as
Mm-hmm.
well. And I think that's the beautiful part about like our game, right? Our sport is that it's such a global sport.
Yeah.
I think so far, like it's just me on the, it's just a team of one,
Right.
essentially.
Okay. Okay.
So I have plenty of ideas, plenty of things ready to go. Like I have a whole, row of hats,
Mm-hmm.
kind of just always, when I can get around to it, that's kind of when we're like, okay, let's put this out. So there's plenty more stuff to put out there. But I think so far, like, I think it's doing exactly what I want it to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
Impacting, the tennis community. So people, there will see it and they know it, but also like in the spaces I'm in with streetwear and like sneakers and stuff, like there's people that are buying the hats, just because they like it. As well as like we have a tracksuit. We have a tracksuit that's out.
Mm-hmm.
And people like just wearing the tracksuits with their sneakers too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So it's been I think so far it's doing what it's supposed to do, and everything's just been on social media. Doing the event with Net Gains was really dope because that was our first like live in-person event. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was really cool just to be tangible in that space. Obviously like you grabbed a shirt and everything, so
Yep,
like that was that was perfect. Just to see it there, and I think just to keep growing it. I know I think it was Madison Ace Sports coach Jamel out in Dallas
Mm-hmm.
has invited like me and Deuce to come out
Cool.
sometime in the spring.
Nice.
So I think that's another opportunity there. And then I'm
Yeah.
talking with Marcus. I think Deuce will probably be back out again for the spring kickoff at some point.
That's awesome. Yeah, I feel like tennis definitely has a need for more brands like this. And I don't know, just being able to have something that represents the sport, represents, the community. I feel like a lot of things that you do too, and I know we'll get into more of what you do, but it always has kind of this theme of bringing people together and connections to the sport and fitness, which I think is really cool.
Yeah.
So look your mid thought.
Yeah, I feel like I came up with like 3 questions at the same time, and I just hit pause for a moment. I agree with what G said. I think it's a good blend between. There's kind of 2 personas that I'm thinking about, right? They could go for the DÜS brand. It's obviously players. Like for me as a tennis player, it'd be really cool. Like I know, like if I go to the gym and I see someone with specific shoes, right? Like if you see like the A6 resolutions or the Court FFs or whatever, like that person plays tennis. It's kind of like the you not them, or you see them at the store and it's like, oh yeah, this person plays tennis, right? It's like you kind of know, if you know, right? You can spot them by the shoes. But it's also it like now with DÜS, like it being like out on the streets, it's like it would be kind of an identifier to like, oh yeah, DÜS. That means you either like into streetwear or you play tennis. And I think it's like a cool identifier of like folks, it's kind of brings in that community aspect. But I think, again, I'm hoping for the growth of the brand so that it can be one of the. I hope to have one of those moments when I go to the store and I see somebody with like a DÜS hat or something, and I'm like, all right,
They know ball.
I see you. Yeah, I see you.
Like point to them like little Spider-Man meme, like you're like, oh you.
Just dab me up, bro. So obviously, I know that G and myself have kind of been, foreshadowing this. You're very involved with the community. You have a run club, and that was like one of the biggest surprises. I know that when we first met at the Net Gains tennis event, like I was asking you, like, hey, how'd you get into this whole thing? And you were like, yeah, I'm sponsored for tennis and running. And I was like, how's that? And you're like, I have a run club. So how did that start?
Yeah, so the run club. So I've been running probably for a while. Like I think when I was doing tennis, just, adding that to my, regimen just kind of increase like my endurance and stuff like that. But then also kind of just grew to somehow like running, which is crazy because if you would have told me that in high school, I would have been like, nah, man, I'm good. Like the most running I would do would be like, sprints on the basketball court or, suicides on the tennis court, that kind of thing. Maybe a mile here and there. To have ran the amount that I've ran, I think in the last couple of years, if you would have told me that, I'd been like, yeah, that's crazy. But yeah, I've just like consistently just ran. Like even when I was coaching in college, even when I remember I coached the women's team in California. And before we would start like our practice on court, I would like get the team to do a team run, and it would just be like maybe 1 or 2 miles, and I think they absolutely hated it, at first. But they would also see like, oh damn, like coach is actually like running also. He's not just saying, hey, go run 2 miles, but like he's leading us and running with us, So I think that kind of just carried over when I moved back to Georgia. Obviously I kept running, and then, just had some friends that wanted to, say, hey, like, can I run with you? And typically before I normally just run by myself.
Mhm.
So then kind of being in that space, learning how to run with other people, kind of just kept growing and growing. And then in August of 2024, we started, Peach State Running Club. And we had our first run over at West Side Park. And now, we've moved out to Duluth, and we have a great community out here. For our group runs, we typically meet on Wednesdays, and we have anywhere between 50 to 80 people consistently.
Wow.
More on the higher side when the weather's warmer,
Of course.
obviously. But
Yeah.
then we also do track Mondays and everything. And, it was really dope because like a lot of people from that community came out to the Net Games event, and they'd never
Mhm.
really played tennis like that. So for me, it was really dope too, because like I've only known them from running. So to see them come into, my world, my other world, and of tennis, it
Yeah.
was really dope to see a lot of people just, trying something new. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, I think that's what it's all about, is just, seeing the sport in the spaces that you love, like seeing people that you appreciate in those spaces, just trying something new, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Go ahead, G.
no, I was gonna say that's cool. I feel like, for me, I'm not necessarily a runner, quote unquote. I've always been like, I'm running because I'm forced to run, right? It's just like, hey, you need to run some laps for this, or like maybe I'm running from something. I don't know, but I'm not going out just like for pleasure run. But I feel like having that community aspect to it would get me to go out, right? If I know like I have 3 friends that are gonna be there because they're there every Wednesday for run club, like that sounds fun to me.
Hmm. Absolutely.
I think that's the thing about hard things, right? It's when you do them together, it makes it a little bit better. It could be running, it could be tennis, it could be many things, many difficult. It could be a drill in the military, right? But there's that companionship, that camaraderie. It makes it a little bit easier. Tying it back to you running with your team, you were coaching. Again, that creates a kind of a psychological, kind of removes a psychological barrier that like you're the coach and we're the team, and you're really just putting yourself in the fire with them. I have been ruined by as a junior, I had a maniacal coach that would make us
Oh,
run a 10K every day before practice.
oh
Mhm.
man.
That went on for like about a year, dude. I was in the best shape of my life as like a 12-year-old, but like I don't know, dude. Like I dislike running in general, but I also realized later on in life is because I only had one speed, and it was like running as fast as you can, like
Mhm.
zone 4 running. So I gotta give credit to one of my buddies, Eric, who got me into like 5Ks. He just one time invited me, and I was like, you know what, I'll do it. And now I try to do like a 5K every year just to see where my pace is, and if I'm like, either in better shape or in worse shape than I was last year. But it's to your point, is that like community team, like when I see other people running, I already signed up for this. It's like I'm going to run, there's no more like there's a commitment to it because we're all doing it together. So, it's cool. Now, I'm curious, how did the whole idea by the way, happy birthday, right? You just turned 34.
Yeah, a couple
So
weeks ago.
so
Thank
I
you.
saw your post on that. Tell us a little bit more about that for those of you that are listening or watching and don't know about this. So, Kevin, I saw your post. It was something about you turning 34, and then you had people run 3.4 miles in the cold for you. How did that idea come about?
Yeah, so I was raising like money for a foundation, Kyle P's foundation. be running the Publix half marathon in March 1st, so a month from now. And I was like, okay, well, we're doing, I'm turning 34. How can we, make this a fun run, right? But like I said, man, I love the people that we have at Peach State Running Club, but they're also crazy like me. So like, when I said, hey, we're gonna run 3.4 miles, which is just a little over a 5K, a lot of people were like, yeah, I'm down, and then we
Nice.
saw the weather and it was like maybe 20 or something like that. And they were like, yeah, I'm still down.
Wow.
So I was like, all right. So we did that a couple weeks ago in the morning, and yeah, a lot of people, like maybe 20 something, almost 30 people came out
Wow.
for a run, and obviously for a good cause, but also just seeing that, I'm like, wow, like I really appreciate the community we have, like, and I know you mentioned like the camaraderie, I think that's a beautiful thing that what I've learned about the running community can bring. That we also have in tennis too, right? Because in tennis, like you always have your person that, hey man, like let's go for a hit. You know who like when I said that, you already know who came to mind. Like you have that one person. Uh, you have that person that you can, that you can always hit with, and I feel like I've kind of found the same in the running community. If I'm like, hey, you know, gonna go for a run, is anyone down? Actually, after this, like I'm running with a few people with the run club. I was like, hey,
Sheesh.
I got to do a
And
podcast, and then after this, I'm going for a run. So
man, that's respect. The wind chill is crazy right now, but so,
Yeah.
that's like the ultimate friendship test too. It's like, hey, like it's 20 degrees outside, but like it's for a good cause for my birthday. Do you love me? And like, all right, sure, we're out there. I'll be like, whew, I don't know. No, that's a cool idea.
Yeah,
So I can
screw it.
replicate
Why not?
that.
I like that you said a lot of people in the club are crazy like me. I'm like, all right, yeah.
Yeah, that's when I knew
Screw.
we had a good group, is when I seen like, damn man, it's like Wednesday, it's dark, it's
Yeah.
cold. You don't have to be here. Like no one
Right.
is making you come to, to group run or come to the track,
Yeah.
no less. And people come out there and I'm like, all right, people want to, put work in, and I can only respect that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Same
yeah.
question with
You got the crazy guy that just like sends the David Goggins picture.
For sure.
literally. Yeah, the same question kind of with the run club as the brand. Like where do you see it going? Like do you collab with other run clubs? Like how's that all work?
Yeah, so yeah, good question. We've definitely done some joint runs with other clubs. And I think it's something that we continue to do. I think that's, the running community in Atlanta is such a beautiful scene. Like even though I'm not new to running, as far as being like a, founder and leader of the club, I think it's really cool to tap into, other areas, in Atlanta, Metro Atlanta, to
Hmm.
see where running is, represented well there, and just even meeting some of those leaders from their group and kind of picking their brain on, what they got going on and stuff like that, is definitely cool. So, I mean, I think we'll continue to keep it going. We've been almost 1 year here. In a couple weeks, 1 year of running at Good Word Brewing in downtown Duluth for our Wednesday group run, which is crazy because I feel like we've done so much as a club. Like we've grown. I remember the first Wednesday that we had 5 people that came, and I was never worried about the numbers. It was more just the
Yeah,
consistency part. I was like,
for sure.
if you keep coming out here every Wednesday, naturally people are gonna be like, hey, who's that group that keeps running? And we've just naturally like grown our community. And we have we have a leadership team within the run club. Like if for whatever reason I can't make it, there's 10, 11 other people that can know how to lead the group runs and stuff. So it's really really awesome, really nice to have a good team of people to kind of help literally run that. So
That's awesome. And I think we saw that you were named like an Atlanta Track Club ambassador recently as well. Like, what is that, and what's that involvement going to be like?
Yeah, so yeah, that was an honor to be able to be named a Atlanta Track Club ambassador. And it's really just being able to keep promoting, kind of any Atlanta Track Club races that we might have throughout the year, which, you know, if you guys ever ran a race, like a lot of the races are, ran by Atlanta Track Club.
Hmm.
So like Peachtree Road Race, that's our,
Yeah.
probably our big one, our flagship. Um, and it's just to keep promoting, the running community, and, you know, make sure that everyone feels like they're seen and that they have a space,
Hmm.
to be a part of, whether you're new to it or you've been doing it for a long time, that kind of, you're more than welcome to always to come out for, run, or, to go for a race or something like that.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. Like the Atlanta Track Club is like a machine. Like I mean, obviously the Peachtree Road Race is just like spectacularly done. But even like if you have like a foundation and you want them to be like the group that plans. So for example, the Atlanta Fire Rescue Foundation, we had a firefighter 5K
Okay.
back in September, and the Atlanta Track Club was basically like the organizers and planned it all, and it was just perfectly done. Like we didn't have to like lift a finger. It was just amazing. So yeah, that's cool that you're involved with that and able to continue to kind of talk more about running and get more people connected.
Yeah, no, it's definitely, like you said, it's a well-oiled machine. They do such a good job of, the volunteers that come out, but even just,
Mm.
like law enforcement being able to, shut down the streets, and just always, like, everyone always feels safe,
Yeah,
at these events, and you can kind of just be able to run freely. So it's real nice.
it's cool. I'm actually a member of the Atlanta Track Club as well. So like I said, I'm not a runner yet. I'm almost there. Almost there. I do the big events, and every once in a while we gotta run a 5K, Luke. We gotta do one.
Yeah, we're gonna do a 5K this year. Maybe, Kev, if you can talk us into one.
Hey, man.
I
Yeah.
never say
Well,
no. I'm
all
not gonna
right.
be the guy to be like, "Hey, dude, let's sign up for this." I've done that before. Don't get me wrong, but then I got too many no's. But if you ever tell me, "Hey, let's run a 5K," whatever, I'm even maybe open to a 10K if the
Shit.
stakes are high enough. So yeah,
Hey, man. All right. All right. I'll find one to put on the calendar for all three of us.
there you
There we
go.
go. There we
Yeah,
go.
we'll make it a thing. I was doing the Chick-fil-A one, the Chick-fil-A 5K up in like Canton or whatever. But then I think it was like last year I didn't get anybody to go with me. That's what it was. Yeah. I'm pretty sure like G, you had an event that day, I think with like Metabolic, so uh we couldn't do that one. But
Yeah.
yeah, so that was supposed to be the annual event, but we'll see. There's also, by the way, there's also this thing called the Savage Race, which I ran last year. It's kind of like an obstacle course race. Uh, another potential thing. Look into it and let us know. It's pretty. I ran it last year and I didn't realize how much fun it would be until like I'm there and I'm like, wow, this is great. Um, so it just kind of I tapped into a new space within my life that I didn't know existed. Like the whole like American Ninja Warrior type stuff.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
I'll look into it. You said Savage Race?
Savage race is it's kind of
Okay.
like a Spartan race, but it's less mud and then more
Okay.
actual like kind of like monkey bar type stuff. So it's a little bit
Okay.
more complete, less like, oh, you're going through a bunch of mud kind of stuff. I think it's a little bit more tactical, technical, whatever the word is, but it was pretty fun, man. Like you just need to be a little bit of upper body strength and then you're fine. Like it's nothing like you're not climbing up like I don't know, some crazy flight of stairs or whatever, having to do like the little what is it, like the pull up bar that you have to clank onto the things. Like it's
Yeah.
nothing like that. It's I would call it monkey bars.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's fun. I ran it with my coworker. He's like 42, and then like we had a ton of fun. Um, Now shifting gears. I know that when we met, you mentioned that you're sponsored by On Running for tennis and running. How did that partnership with On come about?
Yeah. So, yeah, as an ambassador for for like the 2025 year, I met the I think one of the on reps for running, and something came about where there was a possibility, or chance to kind of become an ambassador. Kind of just threw my name in the hat and honestly forgot about it. um, Literally forgot about it until a couple months later. Um, you know, Seeing the email and everything, say, hey, like, welcome to the On family as an ambassador. And I think, like I said, it just was so nice that I already do running and I already do tennis, but be able to do both at a high level, and then being able to be represented, by a brand like On,
Mm-hmm.
who's kind of, relatively new to the game, right? Definitely in tennis and even in the running space, relatively new, but we see the athletes that they have with tennis, right? Like we know Roger, went there, from Nike, and that was the first time I had ever, heard of the company was
Mm-hmm.
actually
Yeah.
because of tennis, not
Yeah.
Right.
not running. I think some years ago I remember seeing a lot of On shoes around, but I didn't know it was called On. Honestly, I
Yeah.
thought it was like QC is what I was seeing.
It does look like that.
Bro, I literally went on Google because I seen so many shoes, and this was like maybe 2018, and I was
Yeah.
like, QC shoe brand, and then I saw that it was
That's
On.
great.
I was like, oh man, like
I love that.
I had no idea. I literally had no idea.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh,
but yeah, it
amazing.
was really cool to be with On, and just be able to represent like such a good brand and go to all the running activations that we have. But then they even sent me to the US Open this
Wow.
past year, and that was probably my highlight for
It's
sure.
got to be. Yeah, that's incredible. And like, how does that all like overlap with your run club and other things that you do? Like, are they helping promote like DÜS, or like, is there any collaboration or crossover there?
Yeah, so with the run club, like they'll, will come out and, have some activations, just bringing out like some demo shoes for,
Okay.
the run club to try. And that's
Yeah.
kind of one thing I really love about like, I guess the running scene is, you have these brands that are, wanting to come out to your run club and, bring demos for people to try.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think is such a dope experience because it's different than just going to the store and trying on a shoe. I'm like, oh yeah, these feel good. But it's
Right.
like, damn, you're like letting me actually run in these,
Yeah.
to see if I like them. And I think that's just such a game changer. And then, as far as tennis goes, like, On was able to, provide a lot of giveaways and stuff like that, which I know Lou was happy about
I
with one
was
of
definitely
those.
the beneficiary of a lot of those things.
But yeah, like that was, for me, I think that was from the tennis side of things, that was something that I had really hoped to do with On was, you know, putting on an event, for tennis, for the city.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, there's so much like running activations and stuff in the city, but not a whole lot I haven't seen with tennis. And, as far as like just seeing some of the other like tennis like On ambassadors, the stuff that they were able to do in their respective cities. Like I think there's a guy in Miami and then two out in California, and just seeing the great stuff that they did with the brand, I was like, I wonder if I can try to cook something up,
Yeah.
and get that going, and fortunately was able to do that with also have my brand Deuce and partner with Net Gains for the
Mm-hmm.
event that we had. So I'm really thankful for that.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I know Lou was hyped to win those shoes at that event. I don't think he's taken them off since. He sleeps in those shoes. He's like, I love this. I love On so much.
Never misses. G never misses a beat, bro. Like,
What was the US Open experience like?
Oh man, that was that was honestly so cool. Like I mean, they definitely took care of us when we were up there. But we would kind of go to like public courts all throughout like New York. They had like this really dope like On like ice cream truck almost looking thing. And they would have a guy named Vincente. He would be in there and like stringing rackets and like measuring like the weight of people's rackets, and just really just being out in the community, because a lot of people still like, even in a city as big as New York, they were like, oh, I didn't know On like made tennis shoes like that. We thought just for running. But to be able to be in those public spaces, at these like public courts, and like, yeah, I don't know. It was just such a unique experience because, I don't know if you guys have played tennis at other like places, but like I feel like we have it so good in Georgia, to be able to go to a
Mm-hmm.
court and just walk up and play, right? Whereas like in New York, the thing I noticed was like people would be in line, at like 5:30 or 6 a.m. just to put their name on a reservation, to get a court time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's not even like, oh, I'm playing at 6 a.m. It's like, no, I got to get in line to put my name to get a court at 2 p.m., type of thing.
Dang.
But man, it was just really cool to be able to be around, like I said, the other ambassadors, kind of just picking their brain, their tennis backgrounds and stuff like that. Um, and then being able to visit all the like flagship stores and stuff around the city. And then our big event was with Ben Shelton. And that
Nice.
was, yeah, that was really dope too. So, and he also he loved the hat that I had on, the DÜS
Really?
hat,
Oh, that's
and
cool.
was able to give him a hat too. So,
Oh, snap.
Ben, if you're somehow watching this, man, I'm looking forward to you putting that hat on. So
There we go. Yeah.
shameless plug for sure, but come on, man.
Yeah, exactly. Just even a practice session or something. Just throw it
Yeah,
on there. Dude.
yeah,
The clip.
little presser or something. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, obviously, yeah, I was Ben Shelton. You got Iga Swiatek, like Flavio Caboli, João Fonseca, kind of like the big tennis stars that we know, represented by On. So it sounds like you met Ben. Have you crossed over with Iga or Flavio or anybody else?
We saw Flavio there, in a practice session and stuff, and then Fonseca as well. Didn't see Iga, but yeah, just like I said, even just those people, it's like these are up and coming stars already.
Yeah.
And with the brand being so new, I feel like it's just fresh like flavors and stuff that the brand is trying to do, and really trying to make a good imprint on the game, and just bring that excitement. And I think that's definitely something that the men's side bring, and then Iga is already multi Grand Slam champion, so I think it's just a good look for the brand overall already.
Yeah. No, for sure. I feel like they always come up with pretty cool kits too. Like we had our friend Sarah Christopher on the pod one time to kind of talk through like U.S. Open kits, and like I feel like On always delivers something pretty fresh and cool. And I think especially with like Ben, like the tanks, I feel like he wears are cut pretty nice. They always have some kind of cool design on them. So I'm a big fan of what they're bringing out.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
brought
for
out a pretty nice kit for the Aussie Open. It was nice.
Yeah, they definitely have. I think they're definitely onto something, man, and I think they just keep picking up steam with a lot of collabs too. I saw like a recent post on like Hype Beast or whatever, that they just they keep just kind of climbing, keep elevating, and it's really exciting to see what the brand is going to end up doing, and obviously with Roger backing the brand, like, hey man,
Yeah.
I know the maestro stays cooking something up. So.
It really does.
Yeah, no, it feels like they're a little bit more agile and dynamic, and then like approaching the let's just say the tennis brand, the running scene from like a more guerrilla marketing kind of place, right? Where they're not your Nike, they're not your Adidas. Like they can move a little bit faster, do things a little bit differently. Kind of like what you mentioned, like something like that, showing people like, hey, test drive these shoes instead of like just trying them out at the store. This is why we're the brand. I'm big on that. Now, you clearly care deeply about obviously health, community. Tell us a little bit about why you combine the two.
With tennis and running.
Tennis, running, and community, like that, kind of like from like a health and fitness perspective.
Yeah, I think for me, they kind of just go hand in hand with like my daily life. You know what I mean? So, and like I've done things alone before. While I'm, can be independent, I think it's also more fun having community and like-minded people. So to be able to mesh, the two, like tennis, I mean, yeah, I can go to a wall, but it's also nice if I can, share court with you guys too. And we just, hit that way, because it's easy for us just to be able to, catch up on our day or whatever's been going on while we hit and talk, you know what I mean? And then same thing in running, I've noticed. It's like, even though we're going for a run, like if we're going at a, zone 2 easy run, we can catch up about our day or week, you know what I mean? And I think it's just big on community, just because I think life is already tough, as is. But if we can kind of, share, little, special moments together with, people that we love and care about, I think it just makes life that much more easy and more enjoyable.
That's a perfect soundbite right there. I was just like,
Yeah.
yes, that hits me. 'Cause I do feel like that's one thing I've always loved about tennis. There is this individual nature to it, right? When you're playing a singles match, like it's out you versus your opponent, like not necessarily out there to make friends. You're kind of competing and trying to win on your own. And you don't really have like a team behind you, that sort of thing, oftentimes. And so I think in the adult leagues where there's doubles and like there's like this team dynamic and you just hit around with people and like just make it more fun and build that community. Like I think that's where the sport becomes really unique because again, you do have that if you want to go out there and do your own thing and be individual, you can do that. But then you have this built-in community that you can play with and grow with and have fun with. And that makes it all the more special.
Yeah, I agree, 1000%.
Yeah, what role does mental health play with like this philosophy of integrating like community and fitness?
I think, oh man, that's good. That's good. I think it's everything for me. Like, I think the reason why also not, that I got into running, not just for, like physical, health benefits, but just for me, it was always a place where I could kind of escape and, mentally just kind of, gather my thoughts, gather myself. And I find myself doing the same on the tennis court too, right? Like, especially when I'm not having to compete, if I'm just going out there for a hit, it really, I don't know how to explain it, but it calms me and it relaxes me. Even though obviously you're putting your body under pressure, physical pressure and stuff, it's just a place for me to be able to get away. And I hope that, other people can find, that same type of, relief, nothing like just hitting a good tennis ball. You know what I mean? And then nothing like, being able to run freely as well. Especially when you're not, you know, like I said, running is what you make it. If you're trying to push for a certain time, like that's on you. But if also you're just wanting to move, then just move. You know what I mean? No one is clocking you, that kind of thing. So I think, that's something I kind of remind the kids that I coach in tennis, it's just like I always ask them like, hey, what are your goals? What are your short-term goals and what are your long-term goals? Okay, cool. How can I help? I'm going to do my best to help get you there. But just I remind them as we go through the process. Like I had one of my high school kids last week. He just made varsity and he had a really tough practice session with me. And like literally the full 50 minutes he was good. And then the last 10 minutes we played like a breaker and he got really down on himself and I said, hey man, like you just had an incredible session, don't let these last 10 minutes that you felt like you maybe struggled deter you from your growth from today, right? The way I tried to explain it to him was like, hey, like those 50 minutes, you grew and we practiced, X, Y, Z. But the same way that we did that tiebreaker, you have to practice tiebreakers too, and he didn't view it that he never thought about it that way. Cause I was, we're always so used to, oh, I need to practice on my forehand. I need to practice my serve or whatever it is. But it's like, you also need to practice, being mentally strong and
Hmm.
being, you know, being uncomfortable in pressure situations. I was like, it's entirely different once you start playing points, but you also need to be in a position to where you practice that too. And that's what I was trying to remind him was when you get to these when we play these tiebreakers or practice sets, whatever it is, that's a whole situation in and of itself that you need to be able to learn how to, to work through mentally. But I said, hey, don't beat yourself up too much. Like you already got a lot going on with school and, this and this. So just let's try to take the positives from the day and view it that way. And then on the other end with running, same thing. I tell people like, hey, you're not going to PR every single run. You know what I mean? Like some runs, some days you're going to run better than the way you felt. And some days you think you feel great. And then you go out and you're like, man, okay,
Right.
that run sucked, and it is what it is. But I think, mentally, if you can just kind of find a way to balance and control those emotions like as best as you can, but realize like, hey, you know what? At the end of the day, I did something positive for myself, right? Like I went out on the court and hit for an hour. I went for a 30-minute jog or whatever it is, you moved, you did something to kind of to better yourself. We have to take that as a small win, I think, and just keep the positive energy going in that sense.
Dang. Yeah, that was a lot, but that was exactly where we're wanting to take this conversation, right? Because I always ask like, what's the purpose behind putting in these hours, putting in the work? Like, from your perspective, like, how do you see tennis and running contributing to overall wellness for your community, not just like physical fitness?
Um, yeah, I think it was, yeah, kind of just some of those things that I mentioned, like when people want to go out for a hit, right? It's, especially if you're not playing a match, it's probably because you enjoy doing it. right? Like you get, your endorphins are up and you enjoy, going and hitting with your friend. And even if it's like friendly competition, I think the fact that you're just out there moving, you know what I mean? I think that's what it is, right? Like we kind of going back to community, that's what it's about is what like you're going out there to hit and so am I. I mean, yeah, it's obvious that we're playing tennis, but we're also going to gain some kind of, physical, you know, positive, vibe from it, just being able to, exercise freely and without the pressures of, oh man, like I gotta compete against you because I gotta make ends meet,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah.
know? And then same for running, right? It's just like, hey, we go out for a run after this. I'm not racing against anybody. That run is just for us. We have a goal. Hey, this is what we say we're gonna do. All right, let's do the best that we can today and let's get it done. And then let's keep the day moving.
Yeah, that brings me back a lot to this shift. It's a mindset shift. I have to play tennis this morning. I have to run this morning. I get to play tennis this morning. I get to run, right? I have the ability to move my feet, to stand on my two legs, on, being able to just run with these people, to see folks, to have an extra day of life and time that is so valuable in this life. So, um, with that, I think we're just going to ask you the last question before we move into a little segment that we have prepared for you. Wrapping this up, and from your perspective, like for Kevin Perkins, what's been the most rewarding part of building this entire running tennis community that you've built?
That's a good question. I think just seeing people laugh and smile, honestly, for me, like that's what it's all about. Like I said, I've been able to do both, like solo, by myself, but to see what that looks like with community is like really cool to me. Like I said, when it comes to running, like knowing, oh, I can meet so and so, here at this time, or the fact that, you know, 50 plus people come out every Wednesday, for a group run is like that's an expectation and something that they look forward to, every week. I think that's why it was so pivotal, like creating like a leadership team because when it was just, me and my wife doing things, I was like, man, like that doesn't seem fair that, and this was when only like 20 to 30 people were coming consistently. I was like, it doesn't seem fair if I can't make it to cancel the run altogether,
Right. Right.
because I'm like, that's 20 to 30 people that were looking forward to, middle of the week going for a run. And, and then same thing for tennis is like, for example, my student that I have, like seeing him be so hard on himself is never easy, but trying to teach him the lesson and find the silver lining in, okay, he's so hard on himself because he cares, right? Because he wants to improve. He has goals. Like I think as long as you have like some kind of goal or something that you're working towards, I think that is enough for me to keep coaching you, right? Or to keep showing up because it's like as long as you have that, I'm going to do my best to try to put you in the position to succeed and to help you achieve your goal. And I
Yeah.
think the text message that his parents had sent me the other day was really sweet and really thoughtful. That was just a reminder to me. It's like, okay, this is why, I appreciate, getting to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Love
Great
that.
answer.
I love that. Like I said, it's super inspiring seeing what you're building in the community. I think, Lou and I were talking about this yesterday and just what else is out there for us to build on the tennis side too. And how do we, create more events like we did with Net Gains Tennis and what you're doing with the Run Club. It's just bringing people together. It makes it, to your point in your words, just worthwhile, right? We're all in this together in some ways. I love that you're doing this for the community. Thank you for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're inspiring us to think outside the box. So more on that coming. But I think we now go into you want to do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right.
All right, Kevin, we're going to go into a little bit of a thing we call quick hands. So
Okay.
essentially, you got a few seconds to kind of think through your responses for these questions here. We want to kind of just get your first thought,
Okay.
So
okay.
I'll ask some questions here, just, throw out what you think. So first off, best tennis court in Atlanta. Where are we playing?
Best tennis court in Atlanta. Oh man, there's this spot. It's above these apartment courts in the city. It's literally one court. I don't know the name. I went there for a photo shoot and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Like it was, yeah, because it's just one court, but the skyline of Atlanta is right there.
That's sick. That's
Yeah.
sick. Okay. And not too. It wasn't like too crowded or anything like that. It was just like you can kind of like roll up there.
There was no one there. Yeah, there was
Same.
absolutely no one there.
That's clutch.
Nice.
Yeah, don't say the name on this.
Yeah,
Text me later when you find out.
Yeah, we're gonna gatekeep this. For
Exactly.
now.
I was like,
I know exactly where it's at though. I can definitely send you that.
All right.
Google Maps it.
That's a good one. That's a good one. All right. So you broke a string. What are you stringing with, string wise? What's the tension, and who's stringing the racket for you?
RPM Blast, 17 gauge, 58, and then Cali Sax from UTA. She's stringing my rackets.
Okay. All right. There you go. You got a little pro there. Favorite tennis ball to play with? Like, what's your favorite brand?
Gotta go US Open heavy duty.
Those are good. Those are solid. Solid. Favorite sport outside of tennis?
To watch or to play?
What would you rather watch?
I would rather watch basketball.
Okay.
Basketball.
Like NBA, college, anything?
Anything. Yeah. It's like like I said, I like all sports, but basketball, it's, faster pace, so I enjoy watching basketball.
I like it. I like it. All right. What's the best spot in Atlanta to grab food after a match?
Ooh, man, I wanted to gatekeep that one too, but oh man. What is it? Is it El Gallo Santo or something like that? I think over West Side. I think something like that. But they have really good burrito.
Nice.
And then oh man, Clay's Sports Bar has the best wings in the city, or I guess outside the city since it's technically in Sandy Springs.
I literally just found out about this place from another friend of the pod, Evan. I saw it on his Instagram the other day, and I was like, "Those wings look incredible." Like I haven't been there. I gotta go.
Wait, what's the place again?
Clay's Sports Bar. It's in it's off of I think Roswell Road and in Sandy Springs.
Dude, I'm probably within a 10-minute drive. Say less.
Oh wow, we got our next meetup. All right, what flavor of wings are you going? We gotta dig into this more.
Lemon pepper hot.
Okay, ATL boy. All right, we get it.
Come on, man. I mean,
set you up for that one. All right,
it was only right. There was only one answer.
I love it. I love it. All right, and lastly, what's one piece of advice that you give for someone who's trying to break into the Atlanta tennis community?
Just come out, man. Honestly, come out, find a group of people and, kind of just obviously introduce yourself, but just come out. And I think the community is so welcoming, haven't really had any bad experiences of, not feeling welcomed, I would say. Just come out and see where where you can get plugged in and just, start hitting with folks. And then if you want to, play at a higher level and try to, find and join an Alta team or something like that.
I love it. You crushed it. You got some good hands.
All right.
Yeah, dude. Good hands there. Good Rex too. We gotta try some of these places, man.
Honestly, I know we got some meetups.
Keep it on the list for our post tennis. Yeah,
Exactly.
every time. I think we do burgers. That's been the thing that I introduced G to. Just do a nice burger after tennis, so you don't feel kind of crappy from
too bad. Yeah.
Too bad about it. Hey, man, we just played for 2 hours. Let's have burgers. I like this idea of finding the ultimate post match or post tennis session grub.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little
that.
treat yourself moment, but
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah. Thank you guys for having me, man. That was fun. I appreciate it.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the outro real quick. So, Kevin, we're gonna give you the floor for 1 whole minute. Where can people find you? What are you working on right now? What's coming up next? And any message you want to leave the Spin the Racket audience with?
Yeah, so you can find me personally at Kevotano, Kevotano, or the brand at dus.tennis. And current stuff working on, trying to work on next event with Marcus and Net Gains, and then possibly be out in Dallas with Coach Jamel of Madison Ace Sports. Cooking up some more stuff for DÜS. So stay tuned there. And then, yeah, any tennis court, man. I'm pretty much playing tennis on the weekends. You can find me over at Agnes Scott in Decatur. So if you ever want to book a lesson or, just go for a hit, let me know. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice.
All right, everyone. So thank you for tuning in for this episode of Spin the Racket. I'm your boy Lou.
And I'm G. Keep on spinning.